part of His Excellency Atiku Abubakar's victory speech last night after a comprehensive victory in the PDP presidential primary. A victory which became a reality after a number of crucial concessions from one or two other aspirants to the position. Well, we will now proceed to have a conversation around everything that happened with businessman and a member of the People's Democratic Party, Ahmed Buhari, who once ran to be president of Nigeria. Good morning, Malam Buhari. Good morning. Good to have you join us.
Good morning,
Chief. Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, I'm sure that you followed everything that happened yesterday at the National Stadium, at the Velodrome. Atiku Abubakar, once again, will be the candidate of the PDP. Tell us what your thoughts are and the sort of expectations that you have with an Atiku candidacy. Was that predictable? Is it what everybody was expecting? And how do you think that this, again, will be PDP's best attempt to snatch power back from the APC?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I think most importantly, anyone who has seen me in the last few months knows very well that I have been advocating for the emergence of a Southeast president. I worked very closely with former Senate President Pius Ayim, and we worked vehemently within the political party, the PDP, to see that there will be some consideration for the Southeast to present a candidate, not just on the PDP, but hopefully on all political party platforms, only so that we might collectively work towards the emergence of a Southeast president, just the way we've all collectively worked out ourselves towards the emergence of a Southwest president in 1999, a Northern president in 2007, and again a Northern president after Jonathan, another president, Northern president in 2015. So we were working towards saying that the entire country would see the reason for that playing field where we can have equity, fairness, and justice, and to see that some of the indices within the Constitution, especially with the PDP, will be respected. Be that as it may, you can see from yesterday's exercise, over 700 delegates from all over the country spoke, and they spoke very loudly, they spoke very clearly, and then Atiku was presented. Now, on the part of a party man like myself, I am committed to seeing that an Atiku emerges as the president in the next general election. I have no doubt that he is going to lash out anybody coming out from any opposition party very clearly. We saw how he presented himself in the last election. He won about 11 million votes. Some people still believe he won that election. Most importantly, I think what we have experienced with the Atiku candidacy is that over time, he has built a very strong momentum. He has presented himself as a true nationalist, and that is exactly what Nigerians are looking for at a time like this. And before you asked me this question, I overheard your conversation with other people, Oji and Abi in the studio, talking about other candidates that are believed to be doing very well on social media and how young people are going to embrace them and they're probably going to be an upset. Well, I don't see that coming on. I think largely the support for Atiku Abubakar has been for him because of his nature of politicking. And you can see yesterday other aspirants were very happy to congratulate him and wish him the very best as we look forward to ensuring that we work together towards a PDP government from 2023.
All right, Ahmed, as you mentioned earlier, you have been a great proponent for a next president of Southeastern extraction. While the prospects of this person emerging from the opposition party, particularly your preferred candidate, Pius Ayim, we can now say is quite bleak in light of yesterday's national convention outcomes. How has this outcome impacted your initial look? You sound like you're in support of Atiku now. You probably have always been, but what happens to your Southeastern extraction support?
So you need to understand a few things. Some of the few things that we need to understand is the voice of reason and the voice of the people. I am one man, though a northerner, who wanted to see a southeasterner emerge. However, the generality of the delegates who determine who emerges as the flag bearer of the party decided yesterday and presented to us an Atiku Abubakar candidacy. Now, that is very important for me to respect the overwhelming majority, and then secondly, to respect the party's decision. I'm in no way going to oppose the party's decision to present Atiku Abubakar over my personal viewpoint of what the country should be. It is very possible that the country wants exactly what we have presented, and it is in my honest patriotic nature to ensure that I support that move, to see that we most importantly have stability, direction, and collaboration from all sides, from all parts of the country. And if you can see from yesterday's election very clearly, even though there were more delegates from the north, about 411 as opposed to the 357 from the south, we could see that from the results, many of the delegates from the north might have voted for the second runner-up, which of course was Wike. Similarly, a lot of delegates from the west and the south and the south-south and the east voted for Atiku Abubakar. It shows that the country indeed, especially the party, is working towards a unifier that we have presented to the Nigerian people to decide.
Well, while I understand that you'd respect your party's decision to pick Atiku, who has been against zoning from the very start. He's been optimistic that the PDP leaving zoning open made the right choice because it gave the party an edge to present a popular candidate. Now, do you actually think Nigerians are ready for another northern president?
So this is what I think. I think another northerner would have been a northern candidate. But Atiku, over the years, has also presented to the Nigerian people that he is a nationalist. You cannot categorize Atiku as a northern candidate. You cannot categorize Atiku as a core northerner when it comes to his dealings, when it comes to his associations, when it comes to his manner of politicking. He has presented himself as a true nationalist, and I think we cannot shy away from that fact. And as much as we keep talking about the need for equity, fairness, and justice, it is my strong, firm belief that an Atiku candidature would present to the Nigerian people that indeed we do have people on all sides of the divide who are prepared to see that the country goes through the path of unity, the path of togetherness, the path of peace. Do I have any doubt that the Atiku candidates can present this? Not at all. So it is important for us to also, support the fact that he has told us clearly from everything he said yesterday that I am the unifier, and I have come to bring all of us together so that we can be on the same path towards progress, towards justice, towards everything that we want as a people, as Nigerians.
All right, Ahmed. Let's go back a bit still on the Southeast conundrum. Your candidate, Hayim, polled only 14 votes. And you recall that in less than 24 hours, he wrote 2 letters, strongly worded letters to the leadership of the party to complain about the shenanigans, he suspected was happening on the list of delegates from Ebonyi State, his own state. I wouldn't know how his letters were addressed and how his concerns were addressed, but then without a Peter Obi, and Hayim scoring only 14 votes, and the only other Igbo candidate, Mazi Samuel Abowa, only 1 vote. Don't you think that what PDP has just done yesterday amounted to a ridiculing of the southeastern bloc of Nigeria? The same bloc that Atiku Abubakar, who has now emerged as the presidential candidate, once said that if there was a consensus candidate, if there was an agreement that the party will microzone to the southeast, that it will step down. How do you therefore think that southeast folks will feel in the manner that they have been treated, given that Pius Hayim complained bitterly about the doctoring of the Ebonyi delegates list that was sent to Abuja Do you think that there's a possibility of protest votes in the South going to Labour Party, where it is likely that Peter Obi will emerge? And then looking at Atiku, who says that he will be the unifier. What will be your advice to him in picking his running mate? Will it make sense, therefore, to go to the Southeast, or will it just, won't matter whether he chooses a Wike or an Udom Emmanuel or an Okoa as his running mate for next year's election?
Indeed, all politics is local. And, you know, Ebonyi State, where Pius Aim emerges from, has about 13, delegates. And, the result kind of shows that, indeed, the Southeasterners did not really support the emergence of a Southeastern aspirant to become a candidate. And it goes to show us the need for that region, with all its expectations politically, to understand the polity, to unite itself, support its own, and see how the results might change. Clearly, the Southeast as a bloc were supposed to have presented 95 votes yesterday. If all the Southeasterners who were on the ballot were only able to put together about 15 or 16 votes, it goes to show that there's a lot of work to be done with the viewpoints of the people from the Southeast. This is not to say that most of them do not think that they have credible sons and daughters from that region. This is not to think that they do not believe in themselves, but I think they still do not understand how to play the politics. For example, at the time we saw an Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, openly supporting and giving all his support to Atiku Abubakar, I would have expected that the southern aspirants at that time would have come together, agree with themselves, and support one of themselves. And you would have seen how more fiercely the battle would have been. But that didn't happen. Again, this is real politics. This is how it should be played. All of us cannot emerge. All of us cannot be winners. But if we work together, we would actually triumph. We didn't see that happen yesterday. Obviously, the North again played the politics the way they've always played it. The only hope here is that we are going to be able to present a candidate that is going to see everybody, regardless of ethnicity, religion, political party, ideological affiliation, age bracket, gender, and all of those things that have divided us as a people, and say, fine, we have found a candidate who is going to be for all of us and who is going to listen to all of us. And I know that you have mentioned Peter Obi and the clamor for young people supporting a Peter Obi. Well, again, you see, the Atiku, the young people that support a Peter Obi are still in a very organized demography, which of course is social media. And you see, social media, I have been through social media myself. I ran an election, I had this massive support on social media, but that didn't translate to the field. When we got to the field, the results were different, the reactions were different. Though people might like you, but they could not connect you with the grassroots expectations and the social media giants who in reality are likely not going to go out to vote on election day. I am believing and hoping that we would go past all of that and start getting platforms where people who actually say they want you and believe in you and I agree with your ideologies will actually agree to leave their bets on election day, go to the polling unit and indeed vote for their candidates. Even Atiku Abubakar was so popular on social media in the 2019 election. But again, the expectations was that he was going to surpass 20 million, 30 million votes. We didn't see those young people who really supported him on the day of election. I'm strongly believing that a lot of work needs to be done to the voter apathy, to see that people actually come out to support what they truly believe in. Otherwise, we will continue presenting leaders to the country who are not a true reflection of the expectation of the Nigerian people.
Okay, well said, Ahmed. Let's try to preempt the future here under an Atiku administration. Under his economic agenda, he had declared the intention to liberalize and deregulate the economy and provide protection to priority enterprises and also optimize the growth potentials of real sectors, including agriculture, manufacturing, and MSMEs. What challenges could he possibly face in executing these if he does come into power? Because we've heard similar declarations in the past.
Atiku Abubakar obviously cannot do this alone. He has to put the right team in place, and he has to adopt technologically driven systems that can help us checkmate the people that are embedded in this system. One of the biggest supports I wanted for an Ayin Pius Ayin was because of his strong understanding of the civil service, or because of his strong understanding of the National Assembly. At a time like this, I think the choice of a running mate for Atiku Abubakar with somebody that understands, has a good understanding of the National Assembly, has a good understanding of the executive, and hopefully has a background of the legal system, only so that he can support him. And there is no way anybody is going to succeed in Nigeria, no matter how good and determined and purposeful you are, if you do not put in place technologically driven systems that are going to help you checkmate all the lapses that we've experienced in this country. The next leader has to embrace data management systems, because that is the only way he can truly dish out the plans that he has, and to actually have appraisal mechanisms to understand if he is actually achieving or not achieving, where the weakest link, who is actually doing well, what is working, what isn't working, and then progress from there. Otherwise, we would be going through the same things all over and over again and not expecting anything to come differently.
All right. Now, while I wanted to take you back on what you said about social media. While I understand that you underestimate the power of social media, you mentioned some sort of platform that, you could create, that people could come together to vote. Well, I mean, what sort of platform will that be? And wouldn't it be run on social media? Secondly, with the division in the party as results to vote zoning, do you think that the party can recreate itself with the emergence of Atiku Abubakar as a presidential candidate?
First of all, on the issue of platform, yes. Again, we need to understand all of this. There are a lot of people on social media. There's a huge generation that's on social media that will not go out of their comfort zones to go through the process of voting. The exercise is not the easiest, and then there's this belief from that generation that nothing good can come out of the process, that even if I go vote, my vote is not going to count. And I do not undermine the power of social media in any way. I am just saying that most of the people that reside in that space will not come out to vote on election day, which is why I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of electoral reform, where we would now start seeing people being able to vote electronically from the comfort of their mobile phones. Obviously, everybody at this point in time should have a dedicated NI number that you could use to log in and put in the necessary requirements and ensure that it gives you a platform to decide which of your candidates you want to see elected. And the system just has to be protected. The system just has to work. And then you will now see a lot of people taking part in this exercise. The other part you asked me with regards to the emergence of Atiku Abubakar and seeing if this is going to put the party together, from yesterday's reaction, I didn't see the party fall apart. More than anything else, I think everybody is convinced that, yes, they've gone through a process, they've gone through an exercise, and the best man won. And in the spirit of sportsmanship, we're determined to support him. We're determined to work with the party to see that we emerge next year. Do not forget, we have a strong opposition. And we know that they're also going to be planning whatever it is they're planning right now. Our responsibility here is to see that we knock them out next year. But most importantly, is of note is the fact that the Atiku Abubakar emergence has not in any way, created any bad blood with other members of the political party. More than anything else, the PDP yesterday proved to Nigerians that, yes, a party can actually have a good organization, have things put in proper order, and the emergence of the right people would come out without any sort of hanking-panking. And it's sad when I look at the opposition and all I'm hearing is there's going to be a consensus, there's going to be a consensus. The beauty of democracy is to actually go through the process that we saw yesterday. Any distortion from that process would always present a candidate that is not of the popular opinion of the people. We must actually look at this and understand that I don't think anything has happened with the love, the brotherhood, and the unity of the party. And most importantly, we're sitting right now, we're actually putting together plans and strategies in ensuring that we win next election.
Understood, Ahmed. Okay, two things. First, you give an indication of the type of the running mate that Atiku Abubakar should have, somebody who will have a good understanding of the National Assembly and somebody who probably has a legal background. I suspect that you are possibly suggesting a lawyer or somebody with a law background and with a good understanding of lawmaking to deputize for him. Do you have an idea of this type of a person within your party? And from which zone do you think that that sort of a person should come from to be Atiku's running mate? Southwest, Southeast, or South-South? And then quickly, as a second question, does it appear to you like the APC now, have a kind of an advantage to get their act together and to choose somebody strong that will run against Atiku, now that they have an advantage of one more week to organize their primaries? I know that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has congratulated Atiku and is saying that let's square up. I'm looking forward, to square up with you at the elections. But then there are insinuations that it might be President Goodluck Jonathan joining APC and emerging as the consensus candidate. If either of the two scenarios happens, or let's say a Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, or a Fayemi, or even an Ogbonnaya Ono from the Southeast, what are the chances of your man Atiku against any of those people in APC, heavily backed by the president and a sitting administration that controls already 22 out of the 36 states of the Federation?
So yes, I want competence more than anything else. I'm looking forward to seeing strong candidates who would still have sense of reason, consciousness, and true patriotism, to seeing that the plight of Nigerians are being looked into critically and true solutions are being preferred. I think one of the biggest concerns with whoever the running mate is going to be must be somebody that is going to give ample support to Atiku Abubakar, and that person has to be younger. We need to connect with somebody who falls within the age brackets of people who understand the situation slightly differently. So yes, I did mention that I want the person to have the knowledge of the three arms of government at least, and then to be a people's person. And many people have criticized me for looking forward to having a system person. But in all political climes that I've actually studied, anytime you present somebody that is not a system person, he is unable to run the system. Muhammad Buhari would have made a very good president because I think he has a good heart. I think he's prepared to see that things work out perfectly. But he's not a system person. And his running mate, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, on the other hand, truly has presented himself that he's also not a system person. He ran the economic team of the country for almost 6 years. I mean, they put together all the things that they have put together, and the results are on the streets for us to have a feel of. Obviously, there's a lot lacking in that regard. I'm looking for that person who understands the civil service. I'm looking for that person who understands the National Assembly. I'm looking for that person who understands the executive. I'm looking for that person who understands the legal framework of the country, and to make sure that at every point in time they're being guided to ensuring that they protect the yearnings of the Nigerian people. And as much as there are many people that can fit into that in the PDP, I see Senator Ayin Pius I'm doing very well as a dedicated vice presidential candidate in the coming election. That is actually going to be left for the party to decide, and obviously for the party's presidential flag bearer to also decide. With regards to the APC and what it's planning, if this 1 week that they have stolen for themselves is going to give them more time to plan on and see how they can oust the plans of the PDP. I mean, that is totally up to them. I can only wish them the very best. We just want a free and fair election. We do not want to be muscled and bullied because some people have the power of incumbency. We want to see that we are going to go into that competition on a level playing field to ensure that the best man emerges for the Nigerian people.
All right, Ahmed Buhari, businessman, entrepreneur, and former presidential candidate, we want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you indeed.